Namaste. Welcome to another talk show, Talk with Gulshan Bafna. Today we have an youngest 29 years experienced person, a journey from sales representative to youngest managing director to associate vice president, international business of an MNC company, and then to be a co-founder of Helixon Healthcare Technology Company. Sridhar is a
Hi,
passionate
Gulshan.
leader and has been responsible for development of more than 50 talents to grow from fortune to senior management and leadership roles. Sridhar has led various marketing and sales related projects across Asia Pacific and championing account manager across international market. Welcome to the talk show, sir.
Thank you, Gulshan. Looking forward to a useful interaction.
It's an honor to host you here. I hope you're excited to be here, sir.
Absolutely.
Let's get into the show, sir. We are excited to hear about your journey from sales representative to youngest MD to an VP and now an co-founder. Can you just give me an idea about that?
Yeah, I go by the words of what Mahatria, my guru, said once. God's glory lies in creating all of us equal. Human glory lies in ensuring that we don't die as equal. Somehow this has been a profound message or had a profound impact in my mind all through. And I strongly believe that anything that you get, if you really do your best, God will reward you best possible. Results and best possible as such. And that is how, right from the beginning, when I started my career as a sales representative to where I am today, I've been really gifted with a lot of good results. More importantly, a lot of good people to work with. And hence, I've been able to grow.
How would you define it, sir? To be, you have started as a sales representative. You would have never dreamt of becoming VP at that stage. You would have think about doing good in that sales career. So, what is that motivation to keep on climbing the ladder at a very young age?
Yeah, so first of all, I should say, even becoming a sales representative was never a part of my dream as such, because I'm sure, like every other student, people would have dreamt of becoming a doctor or something different, but never a sales representative or a medical job. But to be honest, that's what I was left with, because I probably all this educational background that I had, and I basically had to make a choice to move ahead in my career. And after I finished my graduation, I got into a company called Usha Fire Safety as a sales representative selling fire extinguishers.
Okay.
Somehow the organization really made a huge impact in my mind. It was like a wet cement at that time in my mind. Whatever fell on me had an impression. The managing director of that company, Jagdish Adappa, is a true inspiration, I should say. In fact, when I started selling fire extinguishers while I was helping people stop fire, but there was a fire which was kindled in me by Jagdish Adappa. That's what I should say. He had a demonstrative excellence in whatever he had to do in making himself very successful and making others become. So I had a very successful stint of almost 1.5 years with them. And then I moved into a company called Ranbaxy as a medical representative. And there again, because I didn't have an opportunity to do something else, I knew that this is where I have to progress in my life. I just put hard work and people there with me supporting all the time. And I realized if you are there to put effort, there are people who will always be there to help you. And I was able to progress. And then in the year 1998, I joined Allergan as a zonal manager for South India. And that organization, again, with the help of many of my bosses who were there and people around, and I had a very talented team. I should actually give all the credit to those people. And I had some terrific customers, I should say. And all these things, factors came together, and I was able to really make the best out of the opportunity that was there. And I strongly believe that in any field for you to be successful, of course, knowledge is one, skill is one, and the third thing is attitude. And I owe that attitude to my dad, who says, "Okay, anything that comes your way, take it and make it the best." I was able to really see that happening. And I really did not see what was ahead of me. I just said, okay, whatever I am doing now, I should be the best in what I'm doing. Okay. And automatically, better things came my way. And I was open to embrace anything that came my way. And that's how I was able to scale.
So I am able to see, even if you work for a day, give your best. Don't wait for the
That's right.
appraisal period or see the manager is doing this or not. You give your best daily, and the rest will take care of it.
Yeah.
That's a
So
really
here I should actually bring in what actor Kamal Hassan once said in one of the interviews. He said there's a huge difference between him and Rajnikant
correct.
in terms of story selection, the way of acting, and all that. But yet, both films get released on the same day, and both of them will become super hit movie. And he said there is one significant difference in the approach they had, but both of them really became successful. One is, he says, Rajinikanth does every movie as if it is his first movie, and
Okay.
he brings that energy, enthusiasm, and all that.
Okay.
And himself, he said, Kamal Hassan, he said that every movie he does as if it is his last movie. So he puts everything into it, and thereby he's able to bring in the next one. So the approach could be very different, but as long as you're giving your best in what you're doing at that particular thing, it is bound to bring success.
Exactly. Exactly. So, what would you prefer, working in an organization or being an entrepreneur?
I think it's if you're gifted, you can have a combination of both. I
Okay.
should say I learned on others' money, because I work for another organization, I should say. If you are an entrepreneur, you have to learn on your own money. That's the biggest difference. But when you work for different organizations, you get to realize, you get to understand quite a lot of things. Whereas when you are running your own organization, your focus is going to be relatively different, and the pressure is going to be relatively different. Whereas when you are working in another organization, especially multinational companies, all that, it really makes a huge difference because your learning comes from multidimensional resources. And that way, I was gifted, as I told you, that I had great people to work with, and hence I was able to learn a lot out of it. And now, in my new journey as an entrepreneur, I'm able to put that to good use. And some of those things really help me prepare very well, plan very well, and execute it very well.
So, would you suggest to work in an organization, gain some experience, and then get into entrepreneurship, or you can just
Because I may be favorably biased towards that particular option, but it has really helped me a lot. And I'm able to appreciate the difference because even if you're taking a decision, the mindset that we would have had when we are taking a decision at that point is very different from a decision that I'm taking at this point of time. So I'm able to relate very well. So when a person is coming and asking me for a particular decision, I know from what background he's coming from. So I'm able to appreciate that difference. So in a way, it has really helped me a lot. But full-time entrepreneurs, they may be able to tell me if there is any merit in being an entrepreneur. If you ask me, as I said, I may have a favorable bias, but I would definitely, recommend somebody having a different experience in another organization,
okay,
then start their own.
okay, okay, okay. When should an young entrepreneur start their own business?
Yeah, as I told you, maybe a couple of years of experience intrinsically where you can gain a lot out of the entire requirement as an entrepreneur. If you know that, okay, how you can actually face customers, how you can manage people, how you can position products. I think these are the 2, 3 things which are very important. As long as you know positioning of your product, as long as you know what kind of people challenges you will have, as long as you know how can you manage a customer very well. If these three things, if there is a reasonably good alignment, I think anybody can actually venture into
So it is not
starting an
necessary
entrepreneur.
to join an organization and learn. You can actually learn it in your family business or heritage business or from some of your friends for a particular time, and you can start your own.
Yeah, a business or an exposure where you are forced to do things in the best possible way. See,
Okay.
sometimes if you are into family business or with your
No
friends,
pampering is
there may
happening.
not be enough pressure, right? There may not be enough pressure as such, and hence you may take things lightly, or things could actually be well set out for you, and there you may not learn much as such. But
Okay.
if you are in a very high pressure situation, or if you're in a situation where you actually are bound to or made responsible for what you're doing or made accountable significantly for what you're doing, then the learning actually becomes far, far, far more deep and impactful. Like from that depth, if you're getting into your own, you can really make a huge difference.
So wherever you get pampering, don't get it. Go. Don't make yourself as a learning process. Get out of it. Go to an uncomfortable zone. Learn things so that it'll be better when you start. I get it that way.
Yeah, pampering, even in other organizations, you get pampered. If you're a top performer, you do get pampered, no doubt about it. But I'm saying if you're made accountable, where you're bound to be held responsible for whatever you're into, I think that's where the learning becomes the best.
Okay. Okay. How do you stress burst yourself, sir? Because being coming from a lower category and you have gone to the top, when you're in lower, stress buster happens across your colleagues. But when you go on a top level and sit at a chair, you cannot just like that go and stress burst with everybody. So you need to have that certain concern to be maintained. How do you make yourself free from the pressure?
Yeah, so I remember reading one beautiful slogan, maybe some 20 years back when I landed in the Kathmandu airport.
Okay.
It is actually a slogan of an electronics company. It says, "It is true, it is lonely at the top." And its second line, it said, "But the view from the top is breathtaking." So you gain some when you lose some. And when you're on top, you may be alone because you have to take certain decisions which only you can understand the depth. Only you will be able to understand the impact of it. But I have never felt lonely as such. I'm alone, but I've never felt lonely because I am always surrounded with people who are extremely good. So even when I was the managing director, I had the best finance director, I had the best sales and marketing director, I had the best HR director. So when these people are much better than me in what they're doing. For example, if you ask me in finance, I may not know beyond basics of finance, but I had the confidence because I had somebody who's much better than me, who's an expert in finance, who's taking care of what he's doing. So when you're surrounded with people who are very resourceful, who are very capable, then you don't actually feel lonely. And when you're empowering them, and when you don't want to actually take the complete thing, control on yourself, then you don't feel lonely. I don't think you'll have that feeling of you're alone but not feeling lonely. That is how I always felt. And of course, beyond profession, there are many other distractions I had, I should say. I'm gifted to have Mahathira as my guru because in any aspect of my life, I just have to close my eyes and I will get one wisdom which will come and help me. So that will basically help me out of any stress as such. And I also am part of various fraternities including things like Postmasters, where I go and give my speaking uh, wherever I mean, if I have to give some speeches, I do that. I can develop my public speaking. So those distractions also have helped me not to be feeling lonely or stressed at any point of time.
So do you suggest to have been part of different fraternities, organizations, or somewhere outside your entrepreneurship skills also, so that you develop skills, or do you suggest entrepreneurs to be part of certain fraternities?
Absolutely, it is very, very important. In fact, one very senior trainer once, when he had come to do a leadership training, he gave a very pertinent point. He said, any person who comes and tells you that I'm working for 20 hours only in this organization, 7 days a week I work and I put my blood and sweat into this company, I don't have anything else, you are not likely to gain much from that person. Whereas another person who actually has has a multi-talented personality, has been part of many other fraternities, then he's likely to get a diverse input into the organization, and that's going to help the organization significantly. And if that's true for an employee, and that's true for an entrepreneur or the owner himself, because if you really look at it, I strongly believe that if you have to spend 1 hour in a day, it's just 4% of your day, right? So remaining 96% you work on something else, but 4% if you have to spend your time, 1 hour if you are able to focus on something else, that can make a huge impact. And similarly, if you take in 1 month, 5% is nothing, right? On 30 days, it's 1.5 days. Normally, we tend to feel that we are very busy, we want to keep doing something. But if you can have 1 day on your own development, maybe 2 days on some development skill, bring in phenomenally high impact on the person himself and for the organization.
Like just giving 1.5% out of your regular schedule, it can grow your skill and make you relief from the pressure that you are going through and perform much more better in doing that.
Absolutely.
So that this should be one of the good learning that I have had and the young entrepreneurs have. Because not only stick on to the baby that you have started, but you have to concentrate on equally 2, 3 things at a time so that it gives good results all over. It becomes an all-rounder performance. What is your advice on tackling organization politics?
Very good question, because this is something which is there all across.
Exactly.
But I strongly believe that as long as you are very fair and firm what you are doing, then there is a very high possibility that you will be able to manage politics very well and make sure that you stay apolitical. People will not consider you as a political personality. I have had, in all my experience, I started my managerial journey in 1994, which means now I'm a manager for 26 years now. And as long as you're dealing with people, there is bound to be differences. There is bound to be a diverse thinking that is going to come in. And as long as you actually are able to accept that as a person who's giving it, and even if there is a difference of opinion, if you are just objecting to the opinion, not the individual, you'll always be able to develop a great culture in the organization. And normally what happens, when does politics happen? When there are two people talking about having a particular conflict or something, and when these two people cannot openly speak to each other and they have to find another person to go and speak to, that's when we are breeding politics. I have always felt that in some way, I may not probably be very pungent in going and telling people, but in some way, whether I sugarcoat or whether I find a very softer way to tell it, somehow I'll communicate to the other person, this is what I feel and I don't like it. Okay. At that moment, it may probably hurt them, but at least the person will know that this person will not go and talk behind my back. And that actually helps you avoid politics as well. And many a times, people, when they come and speak to me about someone else, maybe in 30 seconds time, I will avoid that gossip, but I would probably move away. Why don't you speak? I am not an authority to go and tell him about it. Better for you to speak. So when such things happen, even in a strong political environment, you can stay away from politics. But I do have to accept that there are quite a lot of organizations who suffer from the organization politics. But somehow I have not been bit by that poison.
Okay. That's a very good learning. When you have something different, just go to them and tell it in a polished way so that he doesn't take it in an egoistic manner, so that he at least not immediately accept it, but in due course he would accept. But when someone is hearing, don't immediately ignore it, let it 10-15 seconds to flow and then just divert the topic so that it can be avoided as much as possible.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir. Well, this one point should help many people who are working and also who will be in entrepreneurship journey and wants to